copy and paste to the Facebook group that we can't stream to anymore. So you can stall while I do that.
Yeah, gosh, the technicalities, this world that we live
I
in.
know, right?
So we reap what we sow. I guess is our topic for today. What you put out, you get back. I like to start with if whatever you want more of, put that out. If you want more love, be more loving. If you want more money, then donate, give to people. And that creates a flow of going back and forth. And it's all about the flow. However, sometimes the energy knows nothing but flow. Energy knows nothing but flow. It just moves around, and you have to be ready for it when it comes. But we as humans, we block up the pipe. We put things in there so that the flow can't go back and forth as easily as we would like sometimes. So if you think of a hose and you got a kink in it, you're getting some water coming out on the other side, right? And then you got to find out where the kink is because you're trying to water your lawn and you want the full power, but you don't have the full power, right? So where in your life do you have a kink, so to speak? It can be in resistance. It's usually some form of resistance that you are not getting what you desire or what the flow, the ease and flow. We all know what ease and flow feels like. We know when everything's falling in line and you sit next to the right person that leads you to the right things, or you're like, I was just thinking about this, and I meet somebody at the grocery store that is a vendor for that. And it's just that's flow, that's ease and flow as it goes back and forth. However, if we have a lot of constriction and things that are going on in our heads, the energy we put out can be a bit repelling. So it creates a kink in the hose. And then we kind of don't get that ease. And you may miss that person at the grocery store or wherever you sit down that may be the next step to your next opportunity that you are looking for.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
perfect.
Yeah, and we have Magic Mike coming in saying hello, and we have a couple people on Instagram saying hello. You can ask questions, you can make comments. We love to go based on what is in the energy. I love your analogy of a kink in the hose. And especially like you cannot help but put out whatever you're putting out to the universe. The question is how much of it is conscious? Like how much is the iceberg that you can see above the water? And how much are you putting out to the universe that is under the water?
Right.
And it's the under the water stuff that can kind of really be the kinks in our hose because you're putting out, you might say, I want money, and you're being generous and you're donating. But if you're doing it with the expectation of getting the money and it's not truly a gift, then that's a kink in a way. It's like it's not a true giving because there's a tit for tat expectation. So like when it's like, what's the underlying the core belief what is it? I'm trying to think of the Neil Donald Walsh one. Sponsoring thought. What is the actual sponsoring thought of an action? And a lot of that stuff, it could be unconscious. But if you're consciously like, I am going to be, I know the fastest way to create what I would like is to cause another to have that. And you're operating with that awareness, that's great. But if it's like, I'm going to give and I expect to get back, there's a hugely different energy behind those two things.
Yeah. And you will still get it because there's some intention there. It's just not full hearted. So even they give one of our masters gave the example, like, even if you're a church giving the donation, it's you're still giving, you're still putting out that energy versus nothing at all. So you will still get something because there is still that small intention. Yeah. However, make it greater, make it larger, make the flow of the water through the hose much more when you truly give from your heart and you feel inside like, oh, how amazing. I really loved helping this person. I really loved that I bought somebody lunch. It makes you feel good. So giving and receiving is a back and forth flow. Some of us are great givers, not such good receivers. Some of us are great receivers, not such good givers. You have to go
or
back.
Only good at receiving or giving in one area of your life, and in another area is like, nope, I can't receive anything over here. And so like it's multifaceted. And like at Rishi's Metaphysical Institute, we talk about the different departments of life. In each one of those departments, spirituality and finance and health and all these things, in each one of those, you have an ebb and flow that is, natural at the universe. And it's a big kind of balancing act to, in all areas of your life, have a skilled or preferred application of energies. And to the
Right.
degree you can give with a free heart is the degree you can receive. So if you are like your church analogy, if you're like, oh, this hurts, it's like, well, does it hurt just as much to receive? Maybe, like, really think about that. Think about that. If giving hurts, what does that mean about your receiving? Are they connected? That might be a really good thought to ponder. And we have Karen saying that she has a kink in her hose for sure with all that. And but the first step is really to notice it. And notice too, not just what you're working on consciously. Ask yourself, like, well, what's showing up in my life that I don't like? Because chances are you have a resistance to that, and that's the universe giving back to you someplace where you're throwing out heaviness unconsciously, and here it is coming back to you, and you're like, I don't like that. Why is that person doing that? And all the while you threw that out, and you're reaping what you sowed. But your resistance to receiving that feedback from the universe is actually creating more potency around it. So it's like, you look at the things you don't like and ask yourself, where have I sown those seeds?
Mhm.
And what do I need to do to yank that out and plant a seed that I actually want?
Yeah, there's a lot to this. Another example that's coming to mind that I saw a lot with clients is, you take care of people feel a very strong obligation to take care of parents and kids, and I'm not saying not to, but when you over give, but you are not taking time for self-care and for yourself, then you can't give it from an empty cup. So we have a lot of people that give, but you are suffering and your back hurts and you have arthritis and you have all these things, yet you're like, but I have to take care of mom and I have to take care of dad and I have to, and then there's guilt for not taking care of self. And it's no. Sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you say, I can't. Let's get you a caregiver because my health is suffering right now and I'm not able to take care of you to the fullest. So think about that. Where are you giving, but not receiving for yourself and doing some self-care for yourself? And that can go really deep because I've seen that on that level. I've seen it on, no, there's guilt about taking care of myself or, doing something kind for myself that may require something. It goes on many, many different levels. That's one
Mm-hmm.
example that popped up that I
Well,
saw.
and I just got a huge inspiration to mention that what if when someone's making an ask of you and it's to do something for them and the kindness to them or taking care of a loved one, what if the resistance isn't that they ask? What if the resistance is that you have a willingness to do for them more than you're willing to do for yourself? And then that creates like a separation, and there's like a resistance to doing it because, well, how could I possibly do this for another human being when I'm not even doing this for myself? And that's a big question to set with. Self first is not selfish. And the
Correct.
degree you can be nurturing to yourself, you have so much more when the day comes where you do have to be a service to someone like a parent or a family member or a pet or whatever the case is, a friend. If you haven't taken care of yourself, well, to what degree can you care?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then there might be guilt there. They've asked me to do this, but man, I wasted my life. I'm a alcoholic and I'm in rehab, and here it is. Someone's dying. They need me, and I can't be there. There's like it all really comes down to like be caring to yourself first, so you can be that higher level of service to someone.
Yeah, the bigger and brighter you become, the more you change the planet by doing nothing, really. So
Yeah,
just
you don't have to do anything. You're just being everything, right?
you're just being everything, and that energy will transcend to other people. So taking care of self is not being selfish. Although I see a lot of no, I can't, I have to take care of this. I have to. You actually don't. If things will continue to function without you, the world continues to move, whether you are giving or not giving. There will be a way. The vacuum will be filled in some way. There was another example, but that went poof. But yeah, it's all about just the exchange and what is the balance of the exchange. So if you are again giving, but not receiving and not allowing yourself to receive, and you are taking, but not giving, then there will be a disbalance, and things in your life will not sometimes be the way you like them to be, and you will complain. So you have to do some evaluation.
Yeah, and going back to your hose analogy, that water flowing through the hose, it's not just one and done. Like it's a transact. Like when we talk about this in the Pakokuni tradition too, there's like a transactional thing, but actual aini is a constant flow. And if you want to think of it that way, oh, it's almost going poof. No, come back, come back. I don't want that to go. No, it's such a good idea. No, okay, no. It's the analogy is more like a dance. So like if you're buying something, there's you give the money, you get the thing, the exchange is done. But with living, it's really more like being in a dance with all of creation. I don't mean literally dancing like the tango, but you are in movement with. It's a constant, you know, like how you would dance. You have another aspect of being that you're in creationship with, and you are moving and creating and weaving this reality together. And it isn't just we do one thing and we're done. At the higher levels of existence, it is a constant flow of aini. It's a constant flow of reciprocity on some level, and it may not be the same type of energy, but there is a constant flux back and forth.
Yeah, and there's a lot of paying it forward. So sometimes if you give something now and you're like, oh, I'm not getting anything back, somewhere down the road you will be helped. So it's sometimes I'm just like, I'm giving to this person now, I'm helping them in this way, knowing that somewhere down the road, when you need help, it will be provided. So it isn't like a tit for tat thing, but knowing that give from your heart and know that when you give, somewhere down the road, when you need, you will be given. And it can come in different ways. So just because you give money now, you may get help 5 years down the road when something
Yep.
happens. So it's constant ebb and flow with all of that.
Yeah, I'm actually experiencing something like that right now. Can't talk about it fully, but it's like it's a whole cycle that started like 12 years ago, and then all of a sudden, like this thing showing up, and it's like it's not anything how I thought something would happen, and it's just like mind blowing of the synchronicities of the universe, the God instances of the universe. Judy made a comment. She said that, and if you're giving from an empty cup with resentment, whoever you're serving can probably tell your heart isn't in it, and it affects their ability to receive with grace as well. Absolutely, because resentment is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. Like like people, that sponsoring thought underneath really speaks volumes. It's
That's
not
a
what you
great,
say, it's how you say it. People can kind of get a vibe of that being. And then in addition to that, it's going through their filters and going through your filters. There's a lot of opportunities for skewing. And that's where it's really important to do the inner work, do your shadow work, look at how you have been conditioned to receive in the world, just everything, data points, different types of experiences. Zane talks about how it's kind of like your aura gets a stained glass. And when it comes down to somebody being kind to you, like say if you were taught to, you know, be weary of kindness because it's always out of obligation. Anytime someone's kind to you, you're always receiving it through this filter, like, oh my gosh, what do they want from me? But it's true kindness, and that comes with no obligation. But you might have had a conditioning or an imprinting, and like finding those things and learning to navigate them, because those imprints may never go away, but you learn to navigate it, and you can operate despite that imprint of how you want to be and what you want to do in the universe.
totally. That's a really great point, Judy. Thanks. So I think I want to say too, if you don't want to do something, please don't do it. If somebody asks, oh, okay, can you chaperone this event with the kids, and you're inside, you're like, oh, I really don't want to do it. You're going to go to that event and you're going to be like, I don't want to be here. And that energy is going to permeate. So say, I'm not available at this time, but please consider me for next time or something like that.
Or
Please do
not.
things or not at
If you don't
all.
want to do it, don't say consider me for next time. No, but I
Well,
get it.
yeah. I mean, if chaperoning is not your thing and you hate it, please
Yeah.
don't do it. Just say, hey, I thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm probably just not the best candidate. We worry about what we have guilt around. What are they going to think? What if I say no? What are they going to think of me? Please stop worrying about what other people think. Be kind, compassionate, and saying, I'm probably not the best fit for this. And we lie. We come up with all sorts of excuses. I try to do that less and less and less because we have this guilt of what's going to be the response of the other person. They're going to get mad at me if I say no. Not your problem, not your business.
Yeah, there's actually a couple. I remember this video they were talking about. There's some people that are yes people, and they only ask if they think the answer is going to be yes. And there's other people who ask just any, no matter what, and they don't have a point of view. If you say yes or no, they just ask. And there's all these different types of people. So like, you really want to honor yourself and don't think that you have to say yes out of obligation.
Yes.
It's really a question of like, what's alive for you.
Honor
And
yourself. Yes.
and there's plenty of things where you can be of service and contribute to an organization that are alive for you. But if you are not a kid person, your chaperoning is not going to be fun for you, no matter. At least it's unlikely to be fun for you. Karen was offering, I always notice the universe provides for sure when you're giving and doing right. But that's like what we're saying. The universe gives regardless whether you're doing right or wrong. You get back what you sow. So if you're being like Ebenezer Scrooge and mean and everything, like when he was at the Ghost of Christmas Present watching them and they were talking bad about him, and like, he's receiving back what he was sowing. It's cause and effect, and the universe doesn't have a point of view of what it gives back to you. It's simply functioning based on your unconscious creations from that subconscious, that underneath the tip of the iceberg. You're creating from there and from the tip. And the more of the unconscious you can make conscious, you can really start the universe and you really co-creating like magic. Because there's a lot of stuff there.
There's a lot of in between. And I'm learning as I go through this whole process of manifestation, and I talk to clients and do this, and I'm like, there is a lot in between. And somebody asked me like, well, if this whole manifestation things works, then why is this and this? Because there's so many in betweens. Back to my understanding from what I read, way back, like BC, people manifested a whole lot faster because there wasn't all this stuff that has built up over the course of hundreds and thousands of years. And we are brought in with a protective mechanism, because how would it be if every time we thought of something, it showed up on our kitchen table? It could be not so good. So we do have a protective mechanism, but definitely, if you're not engaged in things, then don't put out that energy. And there's so many different levels of these things. And asking, sitting quietly and inquiring. So follow the energy from your gut. If it doesn't feel right, do your best not to do it. I know there are occasions sometimes when you might need to, because those moments do come. If you maybe have a family member that's passing away and it's like, I hated them, but I really should probably show up at the funeral. Or, I mean, you can or cannot. It's a choice. Mm-hmm. However, there are those kind of iffy moments where you don't want to do something, but it kind of needs to be done. So
yeah. Suit up and show up, they say, right?
Yeah. So, but the big things that you can really say no to that aren't iffy, that in your gut, like, I don't want to do this. Don't do it, because the energy, you are suffocating the energy flow in the direction that it needs to go, really. So.
Oh, that was a little rhyme. That was nice.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, where did that come from?
No, and one of the things too with this conscious creation and unconscious creation is really getting clear, where are you going? There are like some really successful people that they say the first thing you really need to do is get clear, where's your destination? And I'm not talking about exactly how it's going to show up, but like when you're looking to start planting the seeds intentionally for what you want or what you desire and what you're commanding the universe to bring you, what is that? Are you planting wildflowers? Are you planting vegetables? Are you planting trees? Or like what seeds do you want to sow? Because if you don't actually get clear on that, we are all master manifestors. Everything showing up in your life is 100% from what you've put out to be created. Now, a lot of that might have been unconscious. So like now, as you become conscious, asking that question, what do I wish to create? And then another hard question is, what have I created that I need to uncreate to let that other thing come to me with ease? Because you might have made yourself a little box that you have this vision, the soul vision of doing a certain thing in your life, but you've been choosing opposite so long. And now just position wise, where you are in your life in the universe, there might need to be some uncreation and recreation along with what seeds you're sowing. And that can be a whole process in and of itself, basically kind of weeding the garden, tilling the soil, getting rid of the things that you have created that are exact opposition of where you want to go.
Where are y'all going?
Right.
Where are y'all going? What's your goal in life?
What do you want to be when you grow up? And the thing is that, yeah, that's it's hard. I ask myself that all the time, and I'm 45. I'm like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Because I'm not grown up yet. Ask my wife. I don't act like a grown up at all.
The kids have the best energy.
That's true.
They don't worry about these things. They have no filter. When you're little, you just go. You have the next goal. I want this toy. I'm going to get it, and you get it, and then you go on to the next thing. There isn't a you don't. I don't know at what age do kids usually start to say, "Oh, this is what I want to be when I grow up," and then that changes 100 times by the time you get into college. But or I don't know, for some people, they do become what they know at that age. Some of the big stars have wanted to be singers and became singers. But really just back to just give from the heart. And if your heart is closed, I think this is an important topic. If you find that your heart feels closed, but subconsciously out there, you're like, I want to give, but my heart feels so closed. Please see one of us so that we can help you open it. Because it all does come from there. So if you feel really locked up, which I think some people do because of various things that are going on in life, get that shot. We got to stretch that heart chakra if you're having a challenge doing it yourself. One of the quickest ways you can do that yourself is just, go feed the homeless, go to a soup kitchen. You will be very quickly yanked open as to how much you have versus somebody else that doesn't.
Yeah. And, I think part of what needs to happen for that to really take effect is be comfortable in your feelings. A lot of times, especially if you were a man raised in this culture, you have been taught not to feel. And you've been taught to be strong in things. And one of the things by volunteering at a soup kitchen with the intention to recognizing how good you have it, you have to be able to be emotionally vulnerable with yourself to allow yourself to go there and be humbled at what you perceive and receive by having that experience. So when we say open your heart, and there's links in the video description to Dr. K's website, to my website, if you do want help facilitating like a opening of the chakras and energy flows and everything like that. But really ask yourself, are you emotionally available to yourself? Are you emotionally vulnerable to yourself? Are you honest with yourself? We lie to ourselves all the time, like a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good topic. That's a good topic for next time.
Yeah. One of my favorite, but it's not my favorite. I did not like statistics at all, but there was two really good things about my statistics professor had said. And he said, there are lies, there are damn lies, and there's statistics. But we do lie to ourselves. And with the stories that we tell ourselves, you can manipulate any experience to have a different narrative. Just look at statistics, to studies, politics, same events, and spun two totally different ways, polarizing people. So ask the question, where have I polarized myself? Where am I lying to myself? And really, what's underneath that? What am I so afraid of?
Yeah.
That I'm not willing to feel, that I'm not willing to be fully embodied in this experience. What am I so afraid of? And just allow yourself to settle into that and experience it. And then when you start doing things to give yourself a change of perspective on abundance, like the soup kitchen, it's like night and day. What you can actually see from that, because we're only showing up a lot of times with our head, because that's what we've taught. We're showing up, we're analyzing, well, these people are poor. No, what do you feel with your heart? What do you feel in your body? Like, be there fully present with all of you and see what your experience is. But the only way you can be there fully present with all of you is to dive in and start being truthful with yourself of who you are and where would you like to go.
Absolutely. And two things come up there. One of the biggest places we lie is around money. I don't have any money. Here's a great exercise for you to do. Sit down and write down everything of value, all your assets. So if you have credit cards that, let's say, have a $14,000 limit that you haven't used, if you have money in the bank, even if that's $5, if you have your house is an asset, you have some jewelry that's an asset. What in your home can you sell that would will sell? Anything gold? Then tell me you don't have any money. We say this all the time. I don't have any money. I can't afford. The universe does not go by those terms that you can't afford. Yeah, I choose not to, but really write down all the assets and then see how much money you have.
When it comes to the credit card, there is good ways to use it and bad ways to use it. That could be a whole separate stream. Banker Hank's hat coming on.
Yeah, here goes. It is an asset. It is a
Yeah.
invoice for
It
blessings already
it
received.
it is a thing for creation for sure, but it can also be a prison and a trap if
It
it's
can.
used.
It can.
It could go. So when it comes to debt vehicles, that's just. But even our money, it says for all debts, public and private, we're in a debt-based economy. So anyway, we should probably do a whole stream just on money management or something. I don't know, but
Yes.
that would be a whole Banker Hank episode. Let's talk.
Lying to self. But that's one place we lie. I don't have any money. That's not true that you don't have any
Yeah.
money. If you have $5 in your bank account, you have money. But I hear that a lot. I don't have any money. I can't
Or
afford that.
people say I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
And that might just be that your expectations are ahead of where you're at in life. And so like what if you just came to be in the moment and you realize you have exactly what you need? And it's because you're fragmenting one way or the other, and now all of a sudden I don't have enough. I don't have enough. Well, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
If I showed up here, then maybe I would make the choices by the time I'm ready for whatever that is. Now I have enough.
It's tricky. The places we lie to ourselves is just where else do we lie? Something else just came up and I lost it. Darn. Where we lie to ourselves about our life and how horrible our life is. So here's another place, exercise I really liked to do is I sat down, and I continue to do this. I write down all the places that I've been given that are absolutely priceless. So I have a friend that helped me with home stuff. They've given of their time. She could have charged me for that because that's what she does for a living. Free money, free things you've been given. Sit down and write down all the times you've been saved, so to speak, that something came up. You've been given a loan and somebody didn't charge you. You got free help somewhere where a friend didn't charge you, and that is what they do for a living. You got help in multiple ways that were priceless, really priceless. I sat down, I'm like, holy cow, the list was mammoth. And when I looked at the abundance of that in comparison to I'm not getting anything, holy cow, it was huge. It was huge. So sit down. Really, it will bring so much light to you if you sit down and write down all the times where you were in a tough spot and somebody came and saved you and it made you feel better, like a lot better. Somebody helped you move, didn't charge you. Somebody used their services to help you in multiple ways, or money did come to you when you needed it the most through so many ways. God is a source of your supply. Universe is a source of your supply. It's not people, it's not banks. It comes through people to you. So you will find that the abundance is mammoth because time is one of the most priceless gifts. When somebody gives you their time, that is something they can never get back. So I think that's one of the biggest gifts. So do the, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a great exercise. I did it and I
It is
was
a good exercise.
pretty profoundly surprised. I was like, wow, I've been given a lot and we think we don't have enough.
And whatever those moments are, then expand one more step past that and recognize everything in your life is just as magical. We just don't always have the same context in that moment to really see it and appreciate it. But even getting to a place 20 minutes late, you don't know if you didn't miss an accident and whatever led you to being late was so perfect, but you'll never appreciate it because you don't know what you missed. So like really everything is orchestrated so beautifully to bring us here.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. And that could have cost you your life. It could have cost you that 20 minutes that you're bitching that you didn't make it in time because it was some accident you didn't know about. Could have cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So
I was on my way to Akron and I was going to the turnpike entrance right there by Lorraine. And I go and the exit is closed. Like you can't get on going the way I wanted. And it ended up taking me like an extra 20 minutes. But it was like, well, who knows by that little thing, what changed, and just know you get there in the exactly perfect divine timing. And my mom was commenting here that she's like at her age, and it doesn't matter the age. Take this comment. Don't wait till you're old to take this to heart. At my age, I just want to live each moment I'm given. I am in my bonus years, so everything has to count. We are all in our bonus years. And she was also offering that two people always experience the same event differently.
yes.
There's a book by teacher Mark Thomas. I was just thinking about it. There's some book that it's like the same a set of events told like seven. It's like one book with 7 different variations of the same story, and I think it had to do with baseball. I cannot think of it. You know, by chance.
I don't know that.
Oh, I got to reach out to. It's a good reason to reach out to Tom. It's just amazing that, you know, when you with the eye account, like detectives and things, when they're like taking eyewitness accounts, that's another realistic example of how like so many people seeing the same thing. It's night and day difference across the board. Night and day difference, and that goes a long way to say that, you know, if you're with somebody and your realities aren't lining up, all that matters is, or all that means is, you experience reality differently. It doesn't mean that their version of events is right or wrong. It doesn't mean your version of events is right or wrong. You just experience the same set of data points through different filters, and now you're trying to reconcile, and sometimes you can't, and you're just being okay that, you know, we can't reconcile, and that's okay, and everybody can be in their own experience in their own reality, and it's all beautiful.
Yeah, that's based on our previous experiences. Like, you could go to a movie and one person says, boy, that movie was scared the crap out of me. And the other person was like, oh, that was nothing, because they don't have somewhere, there's a trigger point that maybe they learned in childhood somewhere, something was scary. So it triggers them. So it's all about perception. Mary had a great comment too, that I love to cut. You can't afford to not take care of yourself. With clients, I tell them, with, you know, functional medicine and all that, it's a loaded topic, but people come to me and they're like, well, I can't afford that. I'm like, well, but wait a minute, you're paying for insurance month after month after month at a very high price, not to mention the balances from all your testing. And are you better? Are you feeling better? No. Well, how long has this been going on? Years. So how much have you paid in versus what this will be now that will probably gain you the improvement that you need? There's such a misperception. So yes, you can't afford to not take care of yourself now, because you will pay for it later. There's some like little saying somewhere on Facebook. It was a little post, not that somebody wrote, but it was just like one of those things, memes you find, and it says you can't take care of yourself now, or you will pay later. And that's so true. Take care of the vessel that you are in now. And we're not saying never have a treat. The goal is to enjoy life, yes. But when you're too extremes, or you're too stressed and you continue to suffer, you are prolonging that suffering that will work its way in. You really can't afford not to take care of it, or start on the process somehow, wherever that is. Because down the road, the price for that mishap will usually be larger. So take care of the vessel. Your body is the only place you have to live while you're here. So please take care of it.
Edgar Casey, he's some of the, like, they have the, where do I really want to go with this? I took a class on Edgar Casey principles from Lily Dale from Dr. Neal. And one of the things that he talked about is you want to spend more money and get less. And what he meant by that was, like, and one example is, if you go to the movie theater and you're looking at soda and you want to get a soda, you have like the small for like $3.19, then there's like the next one for $3.59. It's probably more than that nowadays, whatever. And then the next one's like, say $3.79, and this middle one's called a decoy. And what they do is, like, we have consumer psychology that says, I want to get the most value for the dollars I'm spending. And obviously, if it's only 40 cents more to get the large, because the middle one's called a decoy, they're just making a spacer between these two things so that it makes even more sense to get the big one. All of a sudden, you're buying $3.99 and consuming 3 times the calories. Right? Like, so like when you're looking at the value, and you can't afford not to take care of yourself. One of the things I really took away from that class is spend more and get less. Like, the value wise, get the small and not the large, even though the large makes 100% smart sense if you're looking at a cost per ounce or whatever. But like, look at really what you're buying, and like, what do you want to put into your body, and what things do you want to consume with that, and making choices that aren't necessarily based on how much the value is for the dollar spent, and how much is the value for what you're actually putting in. And that might, just by doing that little change, really shift what you're choosing and not choosing.
Totally. And yeah, that makes total sense. Also, a big
I get the large and I get refills because I'm really naughty.
Sometimes it just feels good.
No, but I don't drink that. I don't drink soda that much. So when I go to Chipotle, I get a soda. So I'm double dipping in the bad behavior.
Do we have to have a talk on sodas? I hope not.
No, I don't drink soda that much.
Coke is used. It's a great rust remover, guys. So just to let you know, if you want to use Coke,
I think because I ate pennies as a kid, I got rust in there and I needed to take care of it.
just saying, you get what you pay for. I've learned that lesson over and over and over. Like, oh, you go to Mark's and I'm just going to get this. What was I buying? One of those peelers, or when you want to, not peelers, shavers. There's a name for it, and it's not coming to me, for potatoes. If you just want to make them really
potato
thin.
peeler. Oh, the medallion
peeler,
thing.
The slicer. It's there's a name for it. If you want to slice cucumbers really thin.
Is it that little thing with the?
Yeah. And it was
mandolin or something. I don't know.
Mandolin. Thank you.
Mandolin.
Yes. So cheap, like $4.99, and the thing broke. So now I have to go out and buy the correct one, which is more. So this is a big lesson. Like, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. So sometimes getting the right thing versus trying to shortcut it, you will end up spending more in the end. And I've learned that lesson time and time and time again, because I think, oh, what a great deal somewhere. And sometimes there is a deal. An expensive thing goes on sale, then you wait for it. But if you're like, nah, not going to spend, that thing is just too expensive, I'm going to get this, and then it breaks. And then it breaks halfway through because the durability is not great. So keep that in mind too.
That reminds me of, do you ever watch The People's Court? Was that ever one of your things? I love The People's Court with Judge Willian. She's like one of my jams. And anyway, she would always say in Spanish, I can't repeat the Spanish, but the translation is "the cheap comes out expensive." And that just encapsulates so well what you just talked about.
Yeah, it's a big lesson. Sometimes the more expensive coaches are going to get you to where you need to go faster. Versus trying to do it yourself, which costs you more in the end. It costs you your time. It costs you trial and error. And I know sometimes we're all stubborn, and I've done it too. We want to do it ourselves, but yeah. And then the whole, buying more, that's just more calories, but there's the $1 billion business around the psychology of selling to people.
Yeah. One of the big, so if you guys don't know, I actually went to school for business stuff, and we did case studies on different marketing things. And one of the most brilliant marketing campaigns was the Arch Deluxe from McDonald's. Do you remember that at all? Their marketing was to the kids, and they marketed it as an adult sandwich. And then the kid said, "Oh, it's for an adult. I want that." And it was so successful. But consumer psychology is a thing. Ask a question as you go about your day: where am I getting played? And become conscious in those places. Our topic has definitely migrated to a whole different place. But on that note, if you have questions, if you have comments, is there something up in your world? Please let us know. Judy was saying, Mandolin, if we didn't get it, she was about to tell us. So thank you. Thanks. And hello over on Instagram. I see people jumping in and out. So welcome, and feel free, if you comment there, I will read your question aloud, and we can go anywhere you want to go. Yeah. But the overall theme today, between these two variations where we're going, is really making the unconscious conscious. It's like a lot of these things, you're making these choices because of the way you've been programmed. You need to get the most for your money. You have a finite amount. So the deal is paramount. What deal can you get so your dollar can stretch and you can buy more shit, more stuff, more crap with your money? And instead of... And we also have this mindset, if you don't use it, you lose it. And there's some people who are trained. I remember this. I was just talking about this yesterday with a friend about the old game. It was called Shop Till You Drop. And the goal of the game was who could max out their credit card fastest. And so we have these little things in our culture, monopoly. How do you take everything and run people broke? What do we, and granted, it is, if you can play it for the purpose of which it was intended, consciously for fun, great. But unconsciously, what is it programming? I want to be careful how I say this. Somebody that I know locally, we'll say that, they actually said world domination through incorporation. And they were wanting to amass just a way to be in the world that would be taking as much as they can and giving it the least back. And so what are the unconscious beliefs that you're functioning from? We've used this iceberg analogy throughout the stream, that you're consciously operating. Where you're consciously operating is literally the tip of the iceberg. What's underneath? And as you do this work, more and more becomes surfaced. And it's like these unconscious things of how we're operating, how we're buying, how we're living, how we're receiving, how we're giving are all a lot of this conditioning. And it's really, really
It's,
about
yeah.
like really peeling that off and looking at it. Yeah, look, shop to your drop, laugh out loud, switch platforms. Oh, good. Thank you for hopping over to YouTube. That definitely helps us out. And my mom was saying you need to reprogram yourself to take care of yourself first, so then you can focus on others. 120%. And from there, it's really like I think there's this innate thing in humanity where we do have this drive to be of service, and sometimes it gets really skewed in things. But that service, that innate nature, I think, can be monopolized by higher corporations and governments and things like that, where you can take that service mindset and create a system where all of a sudden you've created a system of servitude. And I was watching this video was staggering, right? Like 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. They have a house full of stuff and they're literally broke. They have no discretionary money to go and do what they want to do, right? But you go to a poor country, they have no money, but they're living life. Who's poor? Really? Like, if you think about that, and there's exceptions, of course, you know, like there are some people who they own their home outright or their car outright. They have money in the bank. They're living life. They're traveling. But 80%, this is a statistic from well, this is from the Ramsey stuff. So I don't know where his data points come from, but I'm fairly confident in his data points that like 80% of Americans do live paycheck to paycheck. And if that is true, like, you know, your neighbor who looks like they have it together, they probably don't. You know, and the people are just really good at hiding and putting in the mask. And we talked about vulnerability and getting honest. Just to bring it back to our original topic, what are you putting out to the universe? If you are living paycheck to paycheck and making choices and just skating by, you are living in poverty mindset. You are not changing the equation. And like getting honest and saying, what do I need to do to take control of my life? And then taking those actions, that's the wake up call. You know,
we're going to segue into this prior to the next topic. David Ramsey has a big program on that, but so I have a couple thoughts. So number one, get rid of your stuff. That's a great way to allow more into your life. So if you have a house full of stuff that you're not using, please move some of that out. You're creating a vacuum so more good things can come in. We don't need more stuff. You're not going to take it to the next transition with you. Right. So we hang on to so many things. We hang on to last grandma's sweater because it brings us memories. It's gone, kids. I'm sorry. But don't hang on to memories. Let go. Live with the things that bring you joy. If that sweater you look at every day and it makes you feel amazing every single day, then keep the energy. But if it doesn't, and it's just sitting there because you're having a hard time letting go of it, cut the cords and let go. We use, what's the statistic? I think we use like 10 or 20% of what's in our clothes closet. We wear 10 to 20% of what's in there. The other stuff, half of the time, we don't even wear.
I can tell you, I am an exception to that rule for sure. I purged my closet of most things I don't. Maybe there's a few things, but I'm definitely not in the 10%.
I do too. I've gotten rid of I have about 5 bags worth of stuff that I bought that I wore once or I will never wear again. I'm not a clothes-y type of person anyway, but now I'm a shotgun shopper. So it's like if I see something and I automatically know my tuition is strong enough when I see a sweater, a product that I'm like, I know this is something I need versus, this is nice. I'll just put it in my closet, keep the tag on it. Guys, don't do that. Just, So it's
about a balance of like the virtue and the sin. Like, for example, greed and generosity, since we're kind of talking about money, you could be over generous and you can be overly greedy. Like, where's the middle point? Because if you think about Ebenezer Scrooge, he had all this money and he had no joy in life. Yeah. And you could have another person that gives so much that there's nothing left for them, and they're just that, you know, it's the extremes both ways are not healthy for us. And so like, a lot of it is like finding that middle path and recognizing that these two things, these polarities, are two sides of the same coin, and they're a gradient. And it's really, we are learning to navigate and swing between gradients when it's appropriate, but really kind of be in that center space. Because like Osho says, when the wheel is spinning on a car, that center point is still. right? So we're learning not to get caught up in the storm of life and be able to be that center, but be able to swing out and be an energy when it's required of us, but we're not lost there.
Totally. I think the Christmas story is a fantastic analogy for us today for the giving and receiving piece, because it plays out the whole story. And everybody's seen the Christmas story. I hope everybody here who's listening has seen the Christmas story. So it gives
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, no, because the Christmas Story is the one
Christmas
with the
Carol.
filmed in Cleveland.
Totally different movie.
Which,
Christmas
totally different
Carol,
movie.
guys.
Christmas Story. Now I did it. Christmas Story.
Christmas Carol. The Christmas Carol. We've all seen it as kids. We've gone to the play. We've seen the movie 100 times. It's a pure example of the giving, receiving, of starting. Somebody started off not giving and seeing what he was receiving back, to then giving and seeing what he receives back. It has a very wonderful, energetic message. The other thing I think I was thinking about was David Ramsey and his program. But I have a question there, though. So his motto really is, you live in a very tight budget to what? Create a more prosperous life. But at the same time, life is really short. So where is the balance?
Well, what he's saying is, don't be a slave to the banks. Like, if you go out and you maxed out that $14,000 credit card, and you bought Chipotle and McDonald's and things, and you had no, like, it was just this frivolous types of things, and you're paying 20%. And now on $14,000 a year, every year you're paying 20%. And you have that much less money every month, every year to buy additional McDonald's or whatever. That's what he's really, I feel like, the main thing that sparked him to do that. But he's the mindset, don't finance anything. He made a joke that his FICO score is like 0. He has no credit at all. He could go down to this apartment complex and he can't rent an apartment because he has no FICO. But he could write a check to buy the complex. But in economics, like what we would say, because my degree's in business, and I remember my economics teacher, she said, if for every dollar you borrow, you make $1.25. You borrow as much money as you can, because you're using that money, you're turning around, you're creating more abundance, and that's a smart use of money. And so Dave Ramsey's like on the one polarity, and my economics teacher's on the other, where like her way would be like, you borrow as much as you can as long as it's bringing in more than it costs. So with that same $14,000 credit line, if you buy, say, crystal bowls, gongs, and tuning forks so you can do sound baths, and then you turn money back and you're creating abundance, that would be an example where you're using those funds for creation. But if you're deferring, like if it's just like I'm getting something now that I wanted to defer, but I'm getting it now, but now I'm paying 10 times as much for it. Is that a right or wrong? That's a personal thing. But that's where Ramsey's thing is like, you don't want to be a slave to the bank, because especially like buying a car, you buy a new car, 33% of it depreciates as you drive it off the lot. Yep. So he would always say, buy the best car you can with the cash you have, and whatever your payment would have been, you make that payment to yourself, and then you sell the car with the extra money and you upgrade. And he's like, if you can afford to flush $12,000 down the drain for depreciation, by all means do it. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, and by afford a car, meaning I can make my car payment if I keep my job, don't do it.
Yeah, it's all on return on investment. So there's good debt and bad debt, so to speak. If you are taking a loan out for your business that you know will then profit, then that is considered what they say good debt. But bad debt is that I'm just going to buy as much stuff for myself as possible, and then McDonald's or whatever that is not giving you a return on your investment, then that's the bad debt. Yes.
Well, for what I have just to say, see, next time it's like right as long as it's sustainable. Nick, hello, man. It's been a long time. We've got to have you on again now that we're streaming. Nick is amazing. We've had him on for things in the past. I've been on Nick's TV show, and it's on my website. If you go under media, our TV show was like The Pastor's Son and the Crazy Shaman. I forget the title we had, but it was a great conversation that we had. So thank you for tuning in. And then Judy, who I think is a bit more familiar with Ramsey than I, he said that his point is about consciously telling your money what to do so that it doesn't spend itself without you noticing. and don't spend money you don't have. And that's one thing. Like Anya and I were going over stuff, and I like noticed this what I thought was like the car insurance, but it was like a life insurance thing that I thought just stopped, but it's been billing and it increases every year because I was high risk. And I'm like, holy my gosh, how long has this been going on? And it's stuff like that. Like if you are not showing up to even look at your bank statement and things like that, guilty, like weird things happen. And how much does that cost you? So like really being fully present. And if you're embarrassed about money, all the more reason to look at it, because the more
Yes.
you look at it, the more you're going to be willing to make a change.
Yes.
I am going through that myself right now, getting really conscious about what our money is, where it's going. I added up how much we spent on groceries. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're like, well, granted, we have two boys, 13 and 11, and they eat copious amounts. I always was joking about I'm more worried about a grocery bill than college. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. They eat a ton, but it's like, but like really looking at that stuff and being willing to, if you're not going to do a budget, at least look at what you're spending, and just noticing it is going to start creating an effect and a change in how you're spending and what you're spending.
Totally. I'm in a little group now, and one of the exercises they have us do is look at your money every single day at the same time, if you can. So it creates a pattern. So you look at it every single day. And yes, then writing down all your assets, writing down all of your invoices for blessings received, that's your debts, and seeing where you're at. And how many memberships do you have that are like running, that you're paying for things monthly that are coming out that you're not even using or haven't used? If you have a gym membership and you're like, I never go, then just cancel it. I might go, and if you're either you get your butt up and you go, or you cancel it, because that is money that is leaking out that you're not even looking at. So money's a whole, maybe we need to do a whole topic then on these business money talk and
business money talk, and then energy loops. That leads into energy loops. Money subscriptions is one example of open energy loops, like where your money, like you're hemorrhaging energy out the door. And it's not just with money, it could be with things. If you have projects that you are just have in limbo and things and all that, it's like, where do you have open energy loops?
Open energy loops are huge, and they will make you tired. They will leak things. Maybe that's the next topic, is open energy loops. Things that are running around in your head, projects, money that have not finished, that are draining you in multiple ways.
And I've used this analogy before. It's a beautiful analogy. If you're like a computer and you have your operating system spiritually and all that, you only have so much RAM. Now you could argue maybe you have infinite RAM, but at any given time you have come to the awareness to use so much RAM, right? How many programs you can run at a time. And if you want to create something, it's going to take 50 RAM, but you're running 50 RAM based on past programmings from childhood abuse, conditioning, how you're spending money and all this stuff. There's no way you can start a new program and draw it to you. So like you can put things out to the universe. It's just like, well, what resources do I need to free up? Sell things in the home. What do I need to create to have the vacuum to bring it to me? What energy loops do I need to shut down? Whatever the case is, like we talked about that. Like, what do I need to change of what I'm doing now? Uncreate or recreate, so that what I am choosing to sow now shows up more with ease.
Totally. One of the exercises I have a lot of clients do is when there's a lot of congestion, a lot of things just not moving, I say, okay, we're going to start boxing some things. So go through your stuff and start donating, giving, throwing out if you need to, because you've accumulated so much junk that there's no movement and you're hanging on. And when you free that within yourself, you cut the cords and attachment to those things, as hard as that may be, more stuff can come in. And stuff does happen. They get new jobs, they get promotions, they get new clothes, some sales that they found, new stuff comes in. It's a self-aborting vacuum, and it will always work. Maybe not instantaneously the next day, but within a couple of weeks, a month, maybe 2 months, 3 months, new stuff starts coming in, new opportunities come in. But when your desk is a mess and you have so much clothes you don't use and your house is filled with stuff, then there's no room. You're not creating space. So that's another open loop, and things that you look at every single day that bug you, like, oh, I got to clean my desk. Oh, I got to clean my desk. It's taking up headspace too. So, yeah.
And one of the things I wrote down in 1997 when I started my journal is one of the things is like, you have to learn to use what you have before you receive more. And Spirit at the time had given me like this idea of a gumball dispenser or a food dispenser for cats or dogs, And it's like, well, if the dispenser is made giving you this food to eat and you haven't eaten it, it's not going to dispense more. You have to take and receive what the universe has given you before you receive more. So take a moment and ask the question, what have I already been gifted that I haven't acknowledged, that I need to acknowledge? And then the universe will gladly give me more. And that's like passing the penny by. Oh, that's not worth picking up. Are you, but pennies make dollars, they would say. So like, well, if you're not capable of receiving the penny, why would the universe give you $1 million? We talked about this in the past before. And then for that matter, if you just want to be a millionaire but have no plan, like this is a tool from the Advanced How to Become Money workbook from Access. They would talk about like what plan do you have for this? Like having a tangible thing to ask the universe for, like making a fake budget, like how much do you want to spend on theaters and going out and travel and donations, and like actually having a number that's not just out of thin air that you said it would be nice to have $2 million in the bank. It's like, if I had the $2 million, here's my plan for how I'm going to put that money into circulation in reality. One is way more tangible if the universe saying, I'm on board with that, versus 2 million. Feel the difference with that, like how the tangible one feels. And you can always change your mind, but like giving things that give your dreams a little bit of tangibility without giving them a limitation, just give more structure for the universe to start forming how that shore is going to look once you're coming up on it, after you rowed your boat across the sea of creation, and then landing in this place where now that what you wrote down is actualizable and you receive it. Okay. That was fun.
That was a lot of thoughts in there. Giving and receiving too. It's, if you're given a penny, take it. Don't. Stuart Wilde talks about this in his Money Miracles book, one of his books on money. Take anything you're given, even if you don't want it. Even if your Aunt Lynn gives you ugliest bowl ever, just take it. You can gift it to somebody else at some point. But when you keep saying, yes, thank you, that is an indicator of, yes, I will receive. But when you say no, thank you, we do that. We do a lot of, no, I got it. Somebody offers you help, but you want to be, men do this too. Like you want to be the macho and no, I don't need help. I got it. I do that a lot because it's just the energy. I'm a do-it-yourselfer kind of person, but I'm learning to just open and say, yes, I would love the help. Thank you. I'm learning to just ask for help when I need it because I have a tendency not to do that. So when you keep saying, no, thank you, the universe is going to say, okay, don't need the help. They got it. So even if you find a penny, take it, pick it up. If you find something stupid, take it, pick it up. You can always gift it later. And then there's the compounding effect that you were talking about, Hank. One penny can make millions of dollars down the road. Yet one penny to us is like, that's nothing.
Well, that was the saying for my boss at the hardware store. His dad always said, and it was something that stuck with me, is watch your pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. And then the other thing, what we talked about with Neil Donald Walsh, is the multiplier effect. And if you can help people on volume, it's a whole different experience. Like me and Dr. K are on here. We have double-digit people watching us right now across the different platforms. And so we're touching all these people, where if we were just talking to each other, it's a one-on-one thing. It's touching one other aspect of being, but now we're touching how many. And those people are going to talk to how many. So there's the multiplier effect and there's the compounding effect. And one is more of a duality thing and one is more of a transcendental one-ality thing, and they work in combination with each other because the universe is constantly expanding, creating, and becoming more, and you could be a part of that. You help the universe be a part of that more if you can embrace a mindset of abundance. And I'm learning now, I'm taking this Kabbalah class, and it's really, the whole thing is coming down to, you have either the thought of lack or a thought of abundance, and it's like really keeping in that abundance mindset as much as you can, and that is the light, and they will consider the dark the lack and things like that. Don't quote me too much, I'm just diving into that, so I might not be representing it well, but it was a similar thing, different vocabulary of the things that I've been taught in other traditions. So energy flows where your attention goes.
The common saying. So as you change yourselves, you will change other people around you. Avoid trying to change other people around you, helping them or wanting them to be the way you want them to be. Work on yourself and you will create the ripple effect of other people around you.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That's Dr. K's business.
It is. That's why I changed it. Because
Yeah.
as I work with people and they change, they will go on to emulate that and help others be different. Hey, I learned this now. Did you know? The other person like, oh, I didn't know that. And they, it's just throwing that little pebble that now creates a total effect throughout the planet. And that's the biggest gift you can give.
Oh, well, that's a really good note
On the
to
hour.
end on. Yep, on the hour. If in the link to the video description, there are links to Dr. K's website, Ripple Effect, or One Ripple Effect, as well as my site, hanksettle.com. You can reach out to us if you're looking for individual sessions, or we both. At least I don't know if you link to all your stuff, but you can find our social media there and everything if you want to follow us.
Is on there.
Is it there? I hope so.
Yeah, it's on there. Like if you go to the website, just click on Facebook, Instagram, and it will take you to my platforms.
Yeah. But we will be back again next Tuesday, possibly a little earlier. We keep saying that, and then we talk on Tuesday, like, are we doing this today? Oh yeah, and then we'll get our act together more and more. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for showing up, and stay conscious. Bye.
Take care.